here we are on the combo HellaBass Baitman Friday night stream. It's always interesting. We talk about like we have talked about going live like every month just to like talk about news in the fishing industry.
Yep.
And it's more like once a quarter with our schedules that it
Yeah,
works out. So I
we really
texted
slack.
Baxter earlier this week, and I was like, "How's it look Friday?" He's like, "Yeah, I might be tired, but let's do it." He's like, "What are we going to talk about?" I'm like, "I'm sure something will come up."
Oh, and it did. It definitely did.
And
A
all
few
kinds of things
things came
happened
up.
since Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah, I'm working. I went to work at 11 p.m. last night, and I haven't been to bed. So I stayed
Nice.
up all
Well,
day just for you, Rich.
I got the caffeine, so I'm gonna bring up the energy here.
Yeah. I don't know what we talk about first. You sent me. How about we talk about the Bass, the new advisory board? How are we feeling about that?
Yeah. Before we get into that, I just want to mention that the HellaBass live stream is presented by Arsenal Fishing and boosted by Powerhouse Lithium. And But yes, the new Bass advisory. I don't feel like we've got a ton of information, although they did leak out or they did share the new payouts today, right? But obviously, we've seen different Bass advisory versions over the last decade come
The
and go for Bassmaster. So,
technology board or what it was?
well, yeah, but that was technology board was pretty much all in-house Bassmaster people, right? But they've had like angler panels and representative
Yes.
systems in the past for Bassmaster. You know,
Yeah. So I watched a video this morning because it was on my recommendations while I was sitting in the break room, and this person, and we all know, makes lots of polarizing videos, and he said it was made up of mostly scopers. Well, I look at that board, and other than Ben, and I'll say Ben's a scoper. He's really good at it. He's used it very well. Who on that board would you consider a scoper? Like, I
I
don't
mean, like
know.
so Alex Weatherall, he's younger. I'm sure he leans on electronics a decent amount. But Cruz, I would definitely not consider to be. I mean, a scoper. Um, who's the other? I'm trying to remember
Uh,
who's on the board.
so you got Mark Menendez. I can 105,000% tell you Mark Menendez is not a scoper, although he does use it. He is not a scoper. Lee Livesey, I still
Yeah,
consider Lee an old school bass power fisherman. He don't really have an issue with forward facing sonar. Now I do know that he would like to limit the use of it in tournaments. He's a big proponent of the 50-50, half the events with it, half out. I'm cool with that. I actually like that
yeah.
idea quite
And
a
then
bit.
Drew Cook or Drew
And
Benton.
yeah, Drew Benton, again, shallow water power fisherman.
This is his scope. I mean, all these guys have front facing sonar, and all of them used it, and all of them caught bass. But like, yeah, no, this leans way more old school than it does new school.
Yeah. Um,
Like, I
so
would almost say the rookies and the new guys are underrepresented on this.
correct.
Like, I'm almost kind of surprised there's not a Logan Parks or
Mhm.
uh who's the other like a John Garrett or somebody
Yeah, I
on
was going to
this.
say John Garrett would have been one of my choices. Maybe even Robert G. Young rookie there. I think there's probably a lot more that goes into it than just your name and how well you did in tournaments, like how well you can facilitate and carry a conversation. Do you have facts and data? And I'll say this about Ben: anytime he's ever in a debate, whether it's about fishing tackle or forward-facing sonar or tournament earnings, he's got numbers and data to back his points of view up. And when you're going into these meetings and you're meeting with a company, you got to have that. Look, I'm a union worker, and when we have meetings with the company, and it's time to negotiate contracts, you can't go in there with your opinion. You got to bring them facts and data, and that sways people quite a bit. But no, I actually think as far as representing Bass as a whole, they did a pretty good job. Obviously, Mark's been around. Dude, I am busy. Get your
Bayman
band-aid.
Jr. Look at that flow, bro.
Yeah, that flow is awesome. I'll bring him back here in a minute. He needs a band-aid. But anyway, before I was interrupted, Mark has been around bass for 35 years, fished almost 300 tournaments now. So he knows the struggles these guys have gone to get the payouts that they have. And I truly believe he wants to see it better for the younger generation. You got guys that are just now coming into the sport. And then you got guys like Lee that's been around 5, 6, 10 years that are really just now kind of hitting their stride. And those guys, obviously, they want to make the most money they can, period. I mean, I don't go to a job going, man, I hope I make minimum wage tonight. I want to make the most I can for the work I'm doing.
Yeah. So they touched, yeah. So like that's the board, right? You got 6 anglers, and then you got a bunch of, I mean, some staff, right? There was, I don't know if all the
Mm-hmm.
people in the picture were all part of the crew. Where's that? I was looking for that article where that, yeah. So I mean, they show. I think is that like I think Chase Anderson, Davey Heights in the picture, a couple other Bass staff. I don't know if they're all, part of that advisory board or if they're just standing in the picture. But I mean, the only thing they really released was the new payout, right? They didn't really
Yeah.
talk
So
about
can you
anything
refresh
else.
me on that? Because for some reason I have not seen nothing on the payout, but I keep hearing people refer to it. You get
So
5,500 for 50th place, and you only got to
yeah,
pay
so
ten
it sounds
thousand
like the
dollars.
anglers are going to contribute 10,000. So I assume that's annual. So they're basically going to pay $1,000 per tournament. Is how I read that.
That's not bad.
So each angler is going to pay 10,000, and then I can, with the magic of the internet, I can share the new payout. And we will touch on the Milliken. I see a bunch of comments in there, and I think
Oh yeah.
we might have a little insight that maybe other people haven't heard that we can kind of allude to here. So we'll get there. Uh, so the Elite Series anglers, through their new advisory board, voted additional 10,000, which I assume is $1,000 per event, or 10,000 for the year. So the payout did go from 40th down to 50th now.
So
And they were able to rearrange the payout, so $5,500 for 50th place now again. I think they took some out of this, like 2nd through 10th. I
yeah, it looks
think
like it.
as well got redistributed a little bit. It looks like they kind of kept the contingency awards pretty much the same. I think that pretty much stayed the same. Um, I think overall this is gonna make the anglers a little more content. I'm sure we'll still get some new breakouts where they're going to redo it all and show. I'm sure we'll have another round of like all the people like, this is what I would have made last year. This is what I'm going to make now,
Oh
like
yeah.
all that stuff. But
Get you.
uh,
And the University of Tennessee, by the way, just won the 2024 Microsoft Excel National Championship. By the way,
wow,
just wanted to throw that little factoid in there. Since
freaks in the
we're
sheets.
since we're also #1 in basketball. Yeah, you got to be a Tennessee nut to know that stat. I just saw that last week, but yeah, I can't wait for the YouTube videos you're talking about. With the new payout, I will make $6,500 this year if I finish an average of 56th place. But really, if you think about it, it's a 10 grand entry fee. I mean, you make a 2 top 50s, you got your money back. Is it really that hard to make 2 top 50s? I mean, I probably couldn't, but you can get lucky and you make a, let's see, you get the 10 grand back, you make a top 10 the first 10 tournament of the year, you get your entry fee back. After that,
You're just chipping away at your expenses, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, I actually think they should have kept it to 40th. I thought that was a good move instead of paying to 50th. I actually liked the way that they were paying to 40th. But if this is what the anglers voted for, then that's just an opinion of mine. Overall, optically, this looks way better, right? That old
Mm-hmm.
payout structure where it was $500 for 40th, optically looked really bad for a professional circuit, right? Like when you could potentially win a Tuesday nighter on Kentucky Lake and make more money than a guy 40th place in the Elite Series. Like,
Yeah. And trust me, we can get some boats in them Tuesday nighters. I think they had a couple that should have had 40 boats. So that's just off the top of my head. It's
so Bo says,
$350
how
for
many
first
top
place.
50s does it take to break even? Basically 2 on your entry fees.
Yep.
So 2 top 50s, and you are paid for all your entry fees on the year. And then obviously everybody's expenses vary. But so like if an angler finishes top 10, all or top 50, all 10 events, that's going to be $55,000.
Right.
That would be pretty much probably a break even for most people on or you'd be making a little bit of money over your expenses if you make a top 50 in every single event, right? If you finish between, I guess, basically 26th and 50th, if you do that every week, then you're going to get your minimum couple. I mean, I think the minimum for the classic is now $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you make top 50s every single time, you're going to make a little money.
Yeah. Brian had made a good point. He says, remember, they are 1099 employees. They did lose a $54,000 write-off. No, it's out there, but just thought. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, it's only 10 grand entry fees you can write off now. But
Yeah,
most
the
of
thing
these
about
guys
fishing
are writing off their
at that
boat.
level, it's not hard to find write-offs. Like I bet most of these guys aren't even expensing everything they could, otherwise they would never show a profit.
Right.
Now, for some of the guys that are making, the top 5%ers that have like the 6-figure endorsement deals, like their total package is, then sure, maybe they would miss some of that write-off. But
Or if you're Patrick Walters and you win like 2 NPFLs
sure,
and
right,
late in the year,
right,
you better have some write-offs because Uncle Sam's fixing to take a bunch of it from you.
right. But for most guys, it's going to work out better.
By the way, guys, tune in to Whatnot tonight after the stream. Rich has got some baits he would like to sell. I've not been very active on the Whatnot. I've just been busy at work. I'll be on tomorrow night, selling some custom baits and other things. But go support Rich.
Yeah, absolutely.
He said he had some very rare bandits, by the way.
I don't know if those are not officially listed yet, but
oh, my bad.
I wanted to learn a little bit more about them before I
I'm not going to bid on them. I didn't know the color name. I think it's called fried squash. I could be wrong.
Should we maybe ask the
yeah, let's ask the audience. What color bandits
here before we get into the Milliken?
Yeah, then we'll go to Milliken. Everybody's talking to Milliken.
Yeah. And we will touch on the NPFL and
hey, big girl.
Look at
Love
how
you.
was Neely doing?
Huh?
I want to tell him something.
You want to tell him something? What do you want to tell Rich? You have to.
No.
What do you want to tell him?
I want to tell him that we're getting a new puppy.
We're getting a new puppy. What's the puppy's name?
Joy.
Joy. Yeah.
Joy, the puppy? What kind of puppy is it?
A spaniel setter mix. And a little bit
That's exciting.
A little bit of something else. It's just a mix.
Sometimes those kind of Heinz 57s are some of the best dogs. Like they make some of the best dogs.
Adopting her from the Humane Society.
Yeah, she's cute. We're getting her tomorrow.
Yeah. Hey, we gotta get to talking baits and fishing, okay? Oh, you go over there and do your thing for a little bit.
She's excited. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the Bandit. I don't know if
it's got some light gray bars in it. That looks like a color that TK would put on a Marty Burns crankbait.
That's what I mean. It looks like something you'd kind of see in an older balsa style bait.
Yep. I want to think
they have 3 of them.
It's called fried squash. I tell you what, if you guys got Facebook and you ever got a bandit you don't know color, you can go on the Bandit Collectors group and you go to photo albums and they've got a photo of every color out there. But and if
I
someone
mean, this
finds
is
a new
not
color,
by any accounts a super old bandit.
no. Could it be one of those lure net specials? Doesn't have triple grips on it, does it?
It doesn't have triple grips, and the paint is like fairly well masked off. So I wonder if this is like one of those like transition.
Mm-hmm.
What's Rich's name?
Hey, thank you,
Soldier
Soldier Dirt.
of Dirt 81 says checking in. Been a minute.
I appreciate it, man. It's been a bit since I've been on YouTube. You'd think I'd buy a bass boat and I'd have all kinds of material, and I've just been working. I've got a really good dude. I slayed them on top water one day, Rich, and just
Nice.
hadn't had time to edit. We had a bag. Let's talk about Milliken.
Yeah. Bass with Big Malone. It's HellaBass baits on whatnot. But
So
I can also probably just drop a link here quick.
Yeah, drop that link.
But yeah, so it comes out today that Milliken was arrested and charged. And it kind of, in that news article, it kind of alludes to some kind of tournament fraud, which I think is a little bit like, I don't know. Like they were vague, and I feel like the news article definitely went for the sensationalism.
Because
that's
how our news media operates now.
Yeah. Is it true that Milliken's looking at 16 to 20? Based on what I've heard, I don't think so.
No, I think I'm not a lawyer. Honestly, probably a court diversion. Don't go get in trouble, and it's going to go off your record. Sounds like a pretty bogus deal to me. As you guys know, just to be transparent, Ben is my friend and been my friend for a long time now. And I say this, I believe in the United States of America, innocent until proven guilty. And we don't know the whole story, but, roughly caught a share lunker, turned it in, didn't have his license, made a mistake. All right, we've had guys that won an NPFL event, won the event, and didn't have his license. Wasn't arrested. So I'm not going to rag on him.
And my understanding, and we'll hopefully learn more. And I know Ben put out a post, and obviously can't share much because it's
correct.
It's better to say nothing if you're being investigated and that kind of stuff. But my understanding is there was, at the time of that share lunker, there was some kind of prize or a pot or a bounty for the biggest share lunker for that month or that season or that year or something going on. And that's where they're trying to link this tournament fraud with him not fishing with a license.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Now, maybe that's not 100% true. That's what I heard through the grapevine. And to me, that's a pretty big stretch. Like, yes, he should have had a fishing license. He should know better. But I think it was one of those things. It was within like a week, right? It was like his license expired at the end of August, and this was beginning of September or something like that, right? Like,
I also think there's a group of people out there, and we got one in the chat. I'm not going to mention your name because you know who you are, that they like to see people fail. You know what I'm saying? They want to see someone fall on their face. And look, like I said, Ben's my friend. Ben, you got to check your fishing license, make sure your ducks in a row. It's easy to do. I told Rich before the stream, I fished a BFL one time and didn't have my license. I didn't catch shit, but, my luck could have been, I could have caught them, and then here we are. But that's on me. You got to make sure before you fish a tournament, before you enter any kind of deal, big bass event, whatever, just get your fishing license. And dude, life gets hectic. We forget things. Heck, I forget to pay my truck tags every 3 or 4 years. So when the cop pulls me over and says, "Hey, your tag's expired," no, well, go to court and get them paid. Enough said. Yeah.
And just to be clear, Ben, for not having a fishing license going fishing, should absolutely get a citation for no fishing license. He should absolutely get some kind of whatever the fine is in Texas, if it's $100 or $200 or whatever it is. But beyond that, that's the rest of it seems like a stretch. And like we've seen it happen to tournament guys. We saw it happen to one of the second year guys in the Elite Series on Murray last year.
Sure did.
And he didn't even get DQ'd from the tournament. He just lost 1 day's weight. And honestly, he probably should have gotten DQ'd for the whole tournament for breaking a state law, right? Like, the guy at the NPFL didn't have the license down in Texas. He lost out on $100,000. And he might have got a citation from, Texas. He lost his whole tournament because they didn't find it out until after the weigh-in. I got a buddy. This happened maybe 10 years ago. They were fishing the St. Jude's tournament, which I think most of you guys have heard, that Panger fished. It's a kind of a big regional tournament up here. Get this, he was a sales associate at Gander Mountain at the time. And he fished that tournament without a fishing license. On day 2, they were leading the tournament after day 1. They were fishing on day 2, had a good limit going, and they just happened to have a warden or a sheriff's patrol or whatever pull up on him and ask to just do a routine check, and he didn't have his license, and they were DQ'd from the tournament.
Wow.
So I mean, it does happen. It shouldn't, but I mean, we all make mistakes. But so
yeah, I mean, this is different than putting weights in fish or cutting the tails like some of these kayak anglers have done to stretch them out and this and that. I mean, dude, life is hectic. People forget things. I don't think he did it purposely. Like I said, Ben's probably going to own up to it. I know him pretty well, and he's going to say, yeah, I didn't have my license and deserve to be fined, whatever. Do I deserve to be dragged under the mud and put in the same picture as people that are actually cheating in a tournament? Like, I don't think he purposely went out knowing he didn't have a license and said, man, I'm going to catch this 14-pounder off my hangover, and I'm going to win this 10 grand. Chances are he turned it into shell lunker just to have a shell lunker, maybe get a replica mount, and then they want to add on, well, by the way, this contest was going on when he did that. But Ben's got a little bit more money than me. He'd probably hire a pretty good attorney. So,
yeah, right on. Thanks, GS Square on TikTok. Doing a little simulcasting.
Ooh.
But if you want to see the full story, hop over to YouTube from TikTok. But yeah,
follow me on TikTok if you want to see.
It seems like there's somebody that either has an axe to grind or somebody that wants to make a name for themselves in the authorities down there. So
yeah,
we'll find out more.
Yeah, I don't like to judge people. I mean, you never know what happens, and that goes more than fishing. You never know the whole story until it all comes out, and it is what it is. Whatever. I'm still going to be friends with Ben. So, and he can still freaking catch them. So, license or not. And I'm going to get on a little soapbox here. I think fishing licenses are silly. Half the states collecting money for them aren't doing anything to improve fish habitats, improve the fisheries. They want all these volunteers to do it. Well, if I'm having a volunteer to go help out improve the fishery, I shouldn't be buying a fishing license. You're going to tell me, with this economy like it is, and there's people out there that are starving, you're going to go ticket some man that's going out there and dipping a minute to try to eat a fish to feed his family because he ain't got a license? I mean, God put animals and fish on this planet for us to eat, not to mount on our wall. I mean, yeah, we've made a sport about it, but the way I see it, I think fishing license, that's fraud itself.
I could almost see, and I wouldn't have a problem with, guys that tournament angle paying a more premium license than people that are fishing or fun, or maybe there's it'd be hard to really regulate this, but do you fish 0 to 10 times a year? Do you fish 50? You know what I mean? Right. I should definitely pay more for a license than an average person that's going to go and fish one weekend on Memorial Day at the cabin and maybe catch, go out in the pontoon one time or fish off the dock for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Should that person pay the same $40 license that I do when I fish 100 days a year?
We'll see here in Kentucky, we have you have non-resident 1 day, 7 day, and 15 day.
Yeah.
There's a resident 1 day, a resident 2 day, and a resident 7 day. So those are significantly cheaper, sort of, than an annual license. Annual used to be like $20. I think it might be 30 now. Darius can probably correct me. I need to buy mine, by the way. I'll usually buy mine in January, so don't forget.
Yeah.
So that's kind of similar to what you're talking about. But I could see doing a tournament angler permit that's an additional $10. So if you enter any fishing tournament, whether it's a BFL, ABA, not like a Tuesday night tournament, but I guess you could do that.
Well, we got like 250 people on tonight.
Awesome.
I didn't even notice that. I was like, what's going on?
Well, I appreciate
Awesome.
everybody.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's a good night. Friday night, there must not much be going on in the world.
I know. I'll try not to get off on too many tangents, but you see what I'm saying? Have a tournament. You got your fishing license. That's for anybody. But if you're fishing any kind of tournament that's regulated, that's registered within the state, you have to have a $10 tournament.
200 person ice fishing derby. It could be a 20 boat Tuesday night leaguer. Like, yeah, I think, using the
it's a good idea
at a higher level like that could definitely, I'd be totally fine with it. And honestly, like, I get what you're saying about like somebody that just wants to go out and catch a few fish every now and then and feed their family. But I also don't get the guys like us and a lot of people watching this that either like own boats, they own $4,000 kayaks, they've got 20 rod and reel combos or whatever, right? They got bait collections that would like rival most tackle stores, and then they're going to complain about a fishing license cost because that is by far the cheapest part of fishing. You know what I mean? So like I see it both ways at the same time.
I mean, I get it. I just feel like, whether it's $10 or $50, I'm not a big fan of fishing licenses. I still buy mine, but I want to see where my money's going to. Like, and I'll be honest, Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife has done a pretty good job, but we got a bozo governor that tried to disappropriate those funds that went from Fish and Wildlife to go to other different stuff in the state when we really needed the help for fighting the Asian carp and habitat and stockings. You want to take that money that I'm paying a fishing license, part of my fishing license money, goes to those things and say, you don't need that. Let's go put it over here on some bill about prescription drugs that we don't care about. Like, so there's been this big battle in Kentucky, whether Fish and Wildlife is part of, the Bashir camp, or is it part of the Department of Agriculture? It's crazy, but anyway.
What's up, Bill? Long time. Haven't seen you since the Classic. Nice to see you tuning in. What was I going to say? Actually, in Minnesota, I feel like most of our license fees go towards stocking walleyes in lakes that don't have natural reproduction.
Yeah, and I go, man, I know a lot about fishing licenses. So I'll tell you this, what's really bogus is if you're own a tackle shop or you sell a fishing license in the state of Kentucky, it used to be this, and you took a credit card, you lost the money because you only got, it didn't matter if you sold a 1 day fishing license to non-resident, that's $7, or you sold a sportsman's combo package that includes hunting, turkey tags, deer tags, and all that for $185, you made 50 cents on it. So what happened is a lot of stores, they said, well, we're not going to take credit cards anymore because we're going to lose money. Well, guess what? Out of town people, that's what they got. So they didn't have cash on them. So then they made you log into this portal and all that. But when your customer logged into the portal, the store didn't get their 50 cents. It's like buying it directly off their website. And I think that's kind of chintzy. If I'm going to, I've got a business that's bringing in consumers of the product, which is your fish, your wildlife. They're spending money here in my state. They're buying a license. I should be profiting more than 50 cents per a license sold. So $50 license, the state's getting $49.50 out of.
And I think most tackle shops around here would say that the selling of license is a losing proposition.
It's to
Like,
get people in.
I
The
mean,
guy that
it's
come by a
a loss
license.
leader. You're trying to get them in, and if they buy some hooks or some worms or some bait, then sure, it's fine, or ice or whatever. But if they come in and just buy the license, they're probably losing money.
That happens a lot. Guys just come out just here to get a license, but what you hope is that guy's coming in and maybe he's coming in and fish co-angler and the Bass Open and goes, well, I stopped in here to get a license. Man, y'all got the stuff. You mind if I take a look around for a little bit? And he's there 2 hours. Next thing you know, he's bought him a Loomis rod and Shimano spinning reel and all the minute baits you got in stock. So, I mean, I just, 50 cents, come on, $1.50. I think it should be enough to cover some credit card processing fees.
For sure. Yeah, so I do have some baits, and you got some baits. Do we want to talk baits, or do we want to talk NPFL first?
Let's just go ahead and get all the fishing drama out of the way, and we'll talk some baits.
All right. So NPFL. Maybe we should highlight the good in the NPFL first, right? Like let's maybe. So they had a tournament. They finally finished their last tournament of the year.
Longest season ever.
Longest season ever. They were at Murray. This was supposed to be a tournament that was St. John's back in October. We're not going to go through all that, but there is a young man named Bailey Gay who got the win, won himself $100,000, won himself a sweet trophy. I want to say he actually had a pretty convincing win. Like he by 2.5 pounds. So he caught him. So hats off. I don't really know much about Bailey Gay, but kudos to him. Give him his praise. I tried to go on and watch a little bit, but they make it really hard to watch NPFL. If they were smart, they would just put this stuff on YouTube where the people are. And then I know somebody in here was saying that Welcher didn't win AOI, but this says Welcher secures progressive AOI. So maybe he was trailing after day one.
So now he's won a Bass AOI and an NPFL AOI.
Yeah, so he Welcher gets the Golden Shield and looks like he's got a 2-point win with his 14th place finish at Murray, overtaking maybe Drew Cook was leading it coming into this, I think. Does that sound right?
I believe so.
It says Welcher relied on a crotchety mooch minnow.
Do you have any mooch minnows?
Are you going to the mall later?
You do. I actually use the freeloader a little bit, and that's a pretty good bait. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
about 275.
You can rewind a little bit, Urban. We tackled the Milliken thing pretty early, or catch the replay. Yeah, the fixed TV is a pain.
I think the next step for NPFL is to get away from fixed TV.
I don't think they will, but I think that's what they need to do to like actually take the next step.
I'm just being honest, Rich. Someone just said we had 275 people on YouTube. Are 275 people watching NPFL?
Probably not. That's what I mean. Like,
but if they put it on YouTube, it might be 550.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, YouTube is the second biggest search engine behind Google. It's bigger than like Bing, Yahoo, and 2 other search engines combined.
Yeah,
and we all know that like YouTube will push your stuff out to find it. Like it tests, it like you have more opportunity for growth. And so I think the NPFL is missing a huge opportunity here. And let's just look at it this way.
H2O Man says it's going straight to their website, no longer fixed, or it's going to go.
Yeah, but it's still, they do part of it or whatever. But here's the thing. NPFL hasn't published a video in 9 months on YouTube. So even if they're not going to put their live on there, why are there no tourney recaps?
We got to get
why are there
content.
No highlight reels? Why are there no tournament interviews on here? They are completely missing the boat by not leveraging YouTube as part of their strategy.
Right. And look, I me and you have this debate all the time in text chats about, hey, Baxter, you really killed your YouTube channel once again. And I always say that, well, man, I got to posting and I did a stream and got 10 viewers, or I'm posting videos and not getting views, which, but you know, it may not get views on. I've had things where it didn't get jacked for YouTube, but on Facebook it gets tons of plays, and vice versa, where it gets tons of plays on YouTube and nothing on Facebook. You got to be putting out content, man. And I'm the worst person to say that, but you know, if you're putting two to 5 pieces of content out a week, or if you're not posting 9 months, at least 5 pieces of content a month, that could do wonders, man. You're not going to get that reach if you're not putting anything out there.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like if they want to like lie to themselves and think they're getting more, you know, views for their sponsors by hosting on their website, that's fine. They should be. But if they're not leveraging the other stuff, they're completely missing it. Like, I mean, yeah, you may have had moderate or not as much success as you want lately, Baxter, but both of us are pretty good examples of guys that are regionally, we catch a few fish, we know some stuff about baits, but we don't have like, right, we're not Gerald Swindle, we're not Patrick Walters, we're right, like we are not John Cox. Like,
Yeah.
And if we can get 350 live viewers and we can hit, you know, we each have about 15,000 whatever subscribers and put out content, like if NPFL with all these new anglers, they're gonna have, you know, supposedly Gerald Swindle and Andrew Upshot, right? They're gonna have some big names, and like if you put out live content, a lot of content with those people, YouTube will find an audience for that, and people will watch it. So
yeah, because you're going to get recommendations, and I mean, listen, you don't have to like them, but you know, Luke Duncan has a big following. Why isn't Luke Duncan not doing a live tournament recap at the end of the NPFLs? I mean, he's kind of supposedly your color commentator.
He's streaming that on his channel and YouTube, and if they want to throw it on fixed TV on top of that, sure. But like,
I mean, you can, Brad, if you're watching, you got any more ideas, just float them my way. I'll help you out. And speaking of Mr. Fuller,
yeah, so I guess the real reason we were talking about, I tried to take the high road there to talk about the positivity and give Miss Bailey Gay and Welcher their kudos. So
give the audience what they want. They want the UFC.
Yeah. So here's the thing is, like, I think your mom and dad and your coaches over there probably told you nothing good ever happens after midnight, right? Well, nothing ever good happens on weather days at bass tournaments. So my understanding, and Wired to Fish has got a little blurb on this, and a couple other people have picked up on some short videos on this, but basically I'm sure there's a little more background to this, but the most recent thing, I guess, is one of the anglers posted some mocking kind of, I don't know, like a reel or a short video or whatever, kind of calling in the question of the weather delay, right? Which happens all the time. Like, I fished the Bassmaster Open on Leech Lake. There was all kinds of people making posts on Facebook and YouTube or Instagram going, oh, it's really windy out there. I'm glad we weren't out there. And then they got a picture of a bay where the wind's not hitting it or whatever, right? So that happens all the time, right? Like, so
doesn't matter
if
the
every
weather.
tournament director that ever got questioned about whether it was the right call on a windy day reacted this way, we'd be the WWE. So Brad Fuller, I don't know if he intentionally so there's a bunch of anglers sitting at a cafe having brunch or breakfast. It definitely was before noon today, or the other day on the off day, which was Wednesday. And so evidently he comes in. Now, whether it was planned or malicious or just happenstance, we don't know. That Brad comes into this restaurant and basically starts chirping with this. Was it Chapin? Is the angler maybe? That's what the record.
Was it Doug Chapin?
Doug Chapin or something like that. Younger guy, and evidently they were chirping. They walk outside. And it sounds like nothing like physically happened at that point. But then they come back in, and then chirping starts again with, is it Michael Yoder? Right? Something Yoder.
Yeah, that's a Texas guy.
Yeah, and I think he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, Yoder's a big guy. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah. And it sounds like the chirping and verbal escalates even more. There's the story goes that Brad's wife
Subscribe
joins
to his
in and
channel.
she's chirping as well. And there's a bunch of people, and then they go outside. And I don't know. It sounds like nothing really like super physical happened, but there might have been enough like chest bumping or touching or shoving. I don't think it was like a full out brawl by any account that I've read. But there must have been enough physical contact that it sounds like somebody's pressing charges for what, battery and assault, and I think public disturbance or something like that against Brad Fuller.
I mean, kind of to me, it sounds like one of the anglers effed around and found out. Just,
Yeah, I don't think anybody found out anything based on what I heard, but maybe we'll find out more.
Well,
So
I like Brad. He's always been nice to me. He spent a lot of time overseas as a contractor and other things, and he's not a guy I'd really want to cross with. And I think he's firm in his convictions. And I mean, dude, he's trying to run a tournament series to get this thing off the ground. And dude, fishermen are such wine bags. I mean, even I whine from time to time, but you get when you put people out launching a tournament, it's a little bit on your responsibility for them to get back home. Their family expects them to get back home, and we've seen some really bad accidents the last couple years and bad weather. And, had a couple Murray State anglers that were badly hurt, and an incident with one angler was killed, another one was life flighted, boat accident. So I would rather make that call and know the anglers could get back home to the families, and they could hate me for it if they want to. That we just had the weekend series championship or whatever it was, team championship on Kentucky Lake, and so we're fishing and I and his dad Ryan fished it, local hammer here, Clinton Knight, about won it. But dude, that second day they canceled. I couldn't believe they let them go the first day. I walked outside at work and was like, I can't believe they're fishing on Kentucky Lake right now. The second day, I don't even want to know what it looked like out there. Because I was out about 3 weeks ago and had a 20-mile-an-hour south wind. And I got that big Triton now. And I know how it rides in rough water. And it was at where I was going, okay, this is a lot. Imagine fishing a tournament in this.
Yeah, I tend to agree. When you're in a tournament, it can be frustrating because you typically have a game plan and you're planning and prepping. So you get caught up in the moment and you get frustrated, I think, in these situations. And it's easy to like want to make a video or a post and lash out. But I'm with you. I think in today's world, I think it's better to be cautious than put anybody's life in jeopardy. So I think maybe the organizations need to do a better job of planning for win days or having a backup day so that like they can like move into Monday or move into Saturday or that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. I don't blame the tournament directors or the people making those decisions by any means.
And I'll also say this: it is a bad look, whether you like the guy or not. Just kind of like Ben. Again, Ben's my friend. Kind of a bad look when someone puts a headline tournament fraud. It is a bad look, when you get in a physical altercation with anybody. People lose their cool tempers all the time. No judging here. And you're kind of the face of this new professional fishing league. This isn't Bubba's hometown catch and cook bass league. This is the national professional fishing league.
Yeah, I guess we're going to find out if any publicity is good publicity after this. But yeah, I mean, Brad, he says all the right things, and it's funny. It's like it's a little bit hypocritical because he talks about like we're a family and all these positive things, and then he doesn't have thick enough skin to take the high road, in this situation. So I guess we'll find out more. But for the year they had, this wasn't the cherry they needed on their Sunday.
No. But supposedly they are going to have a pretty big next year. There's a lot of big names supposedly fishing the NPFL. You mentioned a few of them, and I don't.
Yeah, we got.
If you're from the NPFL and watching this,
altercation doesn't influence that and change things, right? Like I've heard James Watson, Gerald Swindle, Andrew Upshaw. I mean, I think Cox and Walters and Cook and like all those guys, Welcher, all those guys are planning to come back. So like, I think you're going to have, 20 plus tour level pros fishing the NPFL next year with some pretty big names.
I don't mean this bad, so if you're an NPFL person, don't take this the wrong way. I feel like next year is the make or break year with all the new talent, proven guys. You've come out and you've said no forward-facing sonar. How many views are you going to get? Can this product deliver? Can you deliver it correctly? This is make it or break it year for NPFL. Now, does that mean they have to have better ratings than Bass or MLF? No. It just means you have to put something entertaining out there and keep people talking, because right now, a lot of people are talking, but only for like the next day after the event. You want them talking a week or two, like, man, that was awesome. You know what? When Lee Livesey won at Fork several years ago on that spook, oh, dude, people still talking about that term. It was unreal. But
sure.
You're also reaching a whole lot more people at Bassmaster with the way they do Bass Live and everything versus what NPFL is doing. So
yeah,
I think they've had some good, exciting events. It's just you got to get that reach, man.
That's the thing is like they are, to me, going back to the thing, they are hamstringing themselves by not putting more of it on YouTube. And next year is the year they've got the names, they've got the high profile anglers. They got to get the reach. And here's the thing. Everybody's freaking phone has a YouTube app on it when they get it.
Yep.
Almost every TV you got now has a freaking YouTube button right on it. So even old boomers like us and our dads can figure out how to watch the NPFL if they put it on YouTube, because they can hit one freaking button and it puts it on their TV. They don't got to download an app. They don't got to cast their screen. I mean, all that stuff can be done, but it's hurdles that your average casual fan is not going to take in your product. And that's not how you're going to grow.
100%. Do you think maybe I'm not going to single out NPFL because there's other tournament organizations and crappie tournaments. You got to go to whatever website. Do you think they're not doing it on YouTube because it shows how many actual live viewers are there, or Facebook Live shows how many people are actually watching?
They can shut that off if they really are bashful about it. You can hide your viewer count.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're that insecure, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, we are boomers. We just had birthdays. I just turned 39. I've been on YouTube since I've been 29.
46, bro.
You look 39, Rich.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I didn't hide my viewer count the first time I did a stream when I had 8 people watching.
I was one of those 8 too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of wild how YouTube does though, because back in the heyday when I was streaming a lot in COVID, 400 viewers was low sometimes. It was 600 to 700. I feel
like we're almost hitting COVID numbers right now.
Really? I can't see on my screen.
Between the two of us.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on Friday night. Again, me and Rich, we always say we're going to do like a monthly recap of the news. And the last time we said that was like January. So we almost went to straight yearly recap. Now I may do a special stream here after Christmas. I would like to do a yearly recap and get like Rich on and maybe Andrew from Tackle Talk. We'll get, a fatal 4-way guys in here.
4-box?
Yeah, 4-boxer. Get Pangrak on here and we'll just all go at it. We'll talk Minobaits, forward facing, YouTube, you name it.
Yeah. So the Brandon Belt folded.
Yep. Ran out of money.
I don't think it was. I mean, they weren't making money.
Wasn't profitable.
I peeked at Todd's. Yeah. I mean, most tournament organizations aren't profitable when they're starting up, especially when you're trying to give away that kind of money. Honestly, I think he's a former baseball player. And I think the Brandon Belt thing, I think he realized that's not how he wanted to spend his retirement. I think Brandon Belt probably figured out he wanted to be fishing and not running tournaments. And, I'm sure the money probably contributed to a little bit. the money was probably part of it, but I think Brandon Belt probably just fell a little bit out of love of like, do I really want to be running tournaments? I used to be a pro ball player. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think he just lost the passion for the project probably more than anything. So,
You want to hear something crazy? Not wearing any pants right now.
there you go. Now things are getting spicy. We're going to hit 500. Baxter ain't
Hell
wearing
yeah.
pants.
Sub
From
to
your
my only,
Whataburger Studios.
sub to my only fans. No, I get that. These, there's nothing for athletes to get into crazy side projects. Remember Randy Moss? He had a NASCAR team or NASCAR truck series team at one time, and then he never heard about it. Didn't make any money.
Yeah.
Pulled out. Speaking of Randy, he's an awesome bass fisherman. He's got liver cancer, and
I thought it was just mental health, but I didn't hear about that.
yeah, Randy's got liver cancer, and dude, I'd love to be on a bass boat with Randy Moss.
If he needs any on the water therapy, hit us up.
Former Minnesota Viking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Randy, if you're watching, buddy, you want to go make a couple casts at Lake X? I'll get her done.
Yeah. It's a good point here for Brian. He said, if anybody came in late, quick overview for Ben. So Ben Milliken, news article came out today that he was charged for some tournament fraud, which in summary seems like a bit of a stretch based on what we know. It seems like he caught and registered a share lunker on the same day that he bought his fishing license, which was maybe like a week or two expired. An oversight, most likely. I'm guessing Ben wasn't, fretting the $50 or $80 for a Texas fishing license. I'm sure it was not intentional. And somehow there was a prize for the, I don't know, let's say like 10 grand or something like that to win the biggest share lunker of the year or the month or something going on. And somehow that is getting tied into tournament fraud. That's kind of what we're hearing. Obviously we'll get more details later, but that's kind of the gist of it. If you want to hear the full detail, go back to the beginning of the show and rewind.
But for something to truly be fraud, doesn't it have to be proven? Keyword there.
Yeah, it's got to be
proven,
thought out and premeditated or intentional. Real. Yeah. So,
dude, he made a dumb mistake.
Period. Yeah, it seems like a dumb mistake and somebody trying to grind an axe that doesn't exist.
I mean, let's be real here. There's a lot of people in Texas mad at Ben for exposing OHIV and Josh Jones and the whole deal that went on years ago, and all these people coming from out of town and finding out these big bass holes and stuff like that. But the share lunker is not a perfect program either. I'm going to tell you, they actually kill quite a few bass, and they don't ever want you to know about that. So a lot of them die. There's
a lot of bass that die for a lot of reasons too.
Oh yeah.
So. Yeah, I think.
I don't think they're taking them in and chopping their heads off, but
no. G Square 19 opportunities for sponsors for NPFL with the big names and lower entry fee. Yeah, maybe, but they got to get eyeballs on it. So, Punch Fishing says we need free Ben shirts.
I promise. Stickers. He's printing them up. Once all this gets cleared out or whatnot, unless there's anything crazy going on afterwards, what kind of fallout, you're going to see some like mugshot tees, like the Trump mugshot, and they'll sell out hotcakes.
You should make them and put them on your TikTok shop, babe.
No, I don't.
Let's take a 1 minute break and then actually look at some freaking baits. I know Baxter's got some brand new stuff from 6 Cents that most
I can only show. I have a
some you can show, some you can't. And I got some stuff from Omni I want to show. So we'll come right back in 1 minute.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. We have a wide variety of home loan programs in our tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time homebuyer options. You can ask HellaBass. He trusted us to help finance his home. Contact the Dream Team today by searching Supreme Lending Dream Team, or click the link below in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen.
There
We are back. Yeah. Just a reminder that it doesn't cost you anything to hit the like button, whether you're watching on Baxter's channel or my channel. Helps us. Doesn't cost you anything. But yeah. So Kyle says we need FBD free Ben merchandise. A little Watson Milliken collaboration, maybe.
Free Ben, damn it.
Shirts, everything's going to be free. Everything's free. But yeah. So I do want to mention Omnia Fishing. They extended their offer. So I don't know if you ever checked out Omnia Pro. It's basically you get 10% off all your purchases. You get free shipping, no minimum purchase. You get 10% back on all your things. And it comes with an app that's loaded with Navionics and wind layers and bottom hardness and all kinds of good stuff for $50 a year, which is a pretty sweet deal on itself. But if you use the code HB Pro, you basically get an instant $50 gift card to Omnia. So it's basically free, assuming you're going to buy $50 in tackle at Omnia. So if you guys want to check that out, is the code. So just a quick plug. We'll talk more about that next week as well. But that is a thing if you're interested. Yeah. And they have bonus sales that are only so like if you're a fan of like let's say Shimano or G Loomis or certain brands that don't allow special pricing because of MAP pricing, well, they do private sales through the Pro that you can save. That'll easily pay for your $50. So, quick little plug there. But do you want to show some Sixth Sense stuff first, or do you want to show?
Well, I've got a few things. I got a really good score off Marketplace for $20. I could get y'all's opinion on, but I tell you what. You plugged Omnia. I'm going to plug Sixth Sense, guys. They got a lot of new minnow baits coming out. They got a whole new series of baits coming out in mid to late January. I can't show them to you, but it'll be under the master class. And these baits are designed by Ben and Corey Johnston and a couple other guys. And a lot of them are technique specific, but they're going to have their own series of forward facing, minnow baits. 3 of these I'm looking at are sick. But the one I can show you is one I've actually caught some fish on. This is the Aussie. And so it's kind of weird how they come up with this bait. It was kind of by accident. They're trying to make a chatterbait trailer and kind of found out and put it on a ball head. And this thing rolls. It doesn't look like much, but it just rocks just constantly back and forth. I had 2 and I've gone through them. They're pretty soft, but they hold up good. This one's they call 4K Shad Swirl. I'm sorry about the lighting, guys. The bait room is being redone. It's got some water problems in there, but then they got.
So, do you think that's like a good shaking minnow? But it also looks like it'd be a good bladed
could
jig trailer.
Good bladed jig trailer. It's a little bit more bulky than the juggle minnow, and what's crazy on a bladed jig is the trailer can make all the difference on the profile of your bladed jig. So I'll throw a juggle minnow a lot when I'm wanting that kind of shad profile, but not real bulky. But you could add something like this. This one was Spanish bone. So it's just got a little bitty joint here that makes his tail kind of quiver. But you can bulk up your chatterbait just a little bit. But it's not as thick on the back end as a Zaco, but up here, when you put it on a ball head, this thing would just rock and roll. Pretty cool. So, very simplistic.
When is the Aussie going to be available for us plebes?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So it'll be on the Sixth Sense
2
site.
Weeks, about the 1st of January.
And I assume that's Aussie for his
son.
His son, right?
Yeah. I also thought they used the name too. It was good because it's a rocking and rolling minnow. So think about that. But 4 inches is the size on it. It's the Aussie 4.0, so you're going to get 6 in a pack. And I think they'll probably be like $4.99 or something like that. But they sent me a couple colors. I think with
I may or may not have seen off the record some of the other baits that he can't show, and they're pretty interesting looking. I'll just say that. I think there's some unique stuff that they got coming out.
Supposedly somewhere between 50 to 60 baits just next year. Well, MJ's correct. It doesn't look like anything special. And I think with some of these minnow baits, them looking. Look, the freeloader is it's always the flat side spunk shad, and it catches them. Yeah, here's another
So I mean, the
color.
freeloader.
Here's a more of a shad color. This is I don't know, ghost.
It kind of
neon.
almost looks almost like the front half of a freeloader with the back half of a mooch minnow or a back half of a juggle minnow, right? Like,
It's about 3 baits in one. You could even say it's kind of got some Lake Fork magic shad vibes to
yeah.
it.
So like, there's the mooch. There's the freeloader. So the freeloader is quite a bit bigger than the mooch. But this has got kind of that little tail that I don't know if you've ever, but it does have a really subtle little quiver, that mooch minnow, that's a little different than the freeloader. And the mooch is their TPA or TPE or whatever they call their, like, their version of elastic at Rapala Crush City, whereas the freeloader is a fairly high durometer, but it's definitely not. It's a traditional plastic.
Bass Assassin. I may or may not be holding those in my hands. I can't show you those.
I don't know about the elastic material, but
That's a pretty good guess there.
yeah, that's you're definitely in the same zip code.
I'll tell you what else I got, Rich. I ordered this a while back, but they come out with these. I didn't even took them out of the package. These new bait bags.
Sure.
And the reason I got these bigger ones is because I'm always trying to figure out how to store my swim baits, my bass tricks, stuff like that I usually keep in the clamshells. But with these bags, I can put all my bass tricks in one of these things in my boat. Maybe put it in that side. I always put the pedestal in. So I'll have me some bags for my swim baits, stuff like that. And then I got these hush. I caught a lot around boat docks. Fish some boat dogs on this little Congo crawl. That's a really good bait. But guys, when y'all walk on
any of those, did you get any of those bigger creature? I forget what it's called. The bigger creature bait they're coming out with.
I haven't got a whole lot lately.
I know Ben showed them on Past the Barb. It's like a really oversized creature.
I did not. Of course, Ben gets them before anybody. I don't.
All right,
guys, I've been working so much. Like, they probably don't send me stuff because Baxter, he's working. But
it's good that I invite Bateman so he actually gets on YouTube every now and then. I did grab one of these when Omnia first got him in. The final copy.
Yep. I do want to say this too about 6 cents. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be released that will go straight to Dick's or Academy or the dealers before they hit their website. So nothing crazy. I mean, people's always done that in tackle world. Sometimes, missiles really popular for going to the dealers or the box stores first before hitting their website. So you're going to see some specialty things.
This is actually this is like their 4.75 inch. It's actually pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm.
The magnet, to be determined if the magnet stays in there. I haven't obviously fished it, but like, I know the guys on the Mississippi River absolutely love the 5-inch mag draft, which is really hard to find at times. And so for certain places where the bait runs a little smaller or you don't have the bigger forage, this could be a nice little bait for that. It definitely feels heavier than a mag draft coming out of the box. Like, there's more internal weighting than I feel like a similar sized mag drafts. So
it will roll on you. It's kind of like a cross between the mag draft and the Bass Pro swim bait, as in it's got that mag draft profile, but it will have that roll when you swim. So I'll film Menendez using it. First time he used it, literally got it out of the package and said, let's film a show. You're going to have to taught me how to use this. I said, all right. And caught out like a 7 off the bank. We filmed a bank fishing show and basically alternated between that bait and a rage crawl. And the first one he caught was like 7 and held it. But if you get that retrieve rod, you can fish it a little bit faster in the hangover. But higher in the water column, 45-degree angle.
Is it touchy like the mag draft where you gotta find that right speed?
It is kind of touchy, but they hook up a good on that harness. Never came out. He caught 4 or 5 on it. Good fish.
Nice. So you can get those at Omnia if you're interested. I am doing a whatnot stream in about 20 minutes, so it'll show up here on YouTube. You can also, I'll drop a link at the end to get into the whatnot if you want, but it'll show up here as well.
All right, guys, rate this score. $20 Facebook Marketplace.
$20 make you holla.
I couldn't pass it up. I couldn't believe it. All right, a couple classics here.
Super Spook.
Yep, Jimmy Houston, Super Spook, 3 hooks, Gizzard Shad,
color.
Okie Shad, Jimmy Houston, 3 hooks.
Pretty much broke even at $20 right now.
Now check this. Even with some balsa in this lot, trying to get it undone. A little Mimic Lures flat side. That's a $20 lure.
Which the Mimic is similar to the, right? I mean, that is basically the same bait when the Strike King Customs came out, right?
Yeah. Yes. So Mimic made all the Strike King Customs. That was a Mimic flat side right there. Now, do you remember these? You know, I like selling wiggle warts. Wiggle warts are popular. This is a sleeper. You see what some of these go for on eBay. We're talking 15 to 20 a piece. The most successful bait live targets ever made. The live target crankbait that is like the 3D crawfish. There is a huge underground following for these. And supposedly they run kind of like a wart, but they get a lot of hunting action. But it's got that big scooper lip on there like a rock crawler. Guys like cranking these on like I know guys at Del Hollow want these because they just deflect off rock really well. But
red hook's in the wrong spot.
Yeah. I got this blue and green one, and then I've got this really nice phantom color.
Come into a future whatnot near you on Baxter.
Probably next week. I'm going to do one tomorrow night with my buddy Mike Russell at Bag 5 Baits, sell custom baits, and they got all kinds of stuff to put on there.
Yeah. Solid. Yeah, otherwise I just got I grabbed a bunch of the Mooch minnows when they came out.
So the one thing I'll say about the freeloader, maybe it's because of where I'm fishing it, we've got an explosion of striper, wipers, white bass the last couple of years.
Sure.
And so, you know, I've been playing around with the scope when I've been out. So I'll just throw at everything. I'm trying to figure out what everything looks like. Those little white bass, sand bass, they'll tear the tail off a freeloader like
really
that. I went through a pack of them a few weeks ago and never caught
a fish. To me, they're pretty durable. Like this is not, I mean, it's not like it's a freaking Senko.
Yeah. I think it's because the whites try to suck in a little bitty tail and you think they're on there. And so they just pull real hard on the tail and pop it.
So
free.
Is it just that piece right there, that last little nib they get off, or do they get higher up?
That last little bit just makes a nub. I mean, heck, I still keep fishing it and catch fish on it. This is like nacho.
I thought I ordered them, but I haven't seen anything show up at my house, Brian. I never got a ship notification. Maybe TK's mad at me. Sakamata shads are the most fragile minnow baits on the planet. Honestly, I used the Sakamata shads a little bit in St. Clair, and I caught like a lot of fish on one Sakamata. I don't know.
I think a lot of it is what head you're using. I've been using the Aussie. I'll put a video. I'll make a YouTube short tomorrow of one I scoped up, about 3-pound largemouth. I've been using the Scottsboro Tackle Hellfire head. I just happen to have a bunch of them in 3/16 from when I was throwing them on small Cotex. It's like, I'll just use this right here. And man, it's got a owner hook in it, light wire owner hook. And it sticks them. Nothing special. But it doesn't tear the bait up at all.
Dude, I made 9 cents on TikTok Live tonight.
Damn, dude. Can I get a loan? How did you do it on
Time.
TikTok Live? Do you get your phone next to you streaming?
I just got it like sitting in front of me. I can't figure out how to like. I don't know if I don't have enough followers to go like. I'd love to be able to integrate it right into StreamYard somehow, but I haven't figured that out. So
You gotta have
10,000 followers, I think.
remember when you talked about YouTube being Google? You gotta YouTube how to do it because you got to get a stream key and you got to have different streaming software. I've got it. It's not StreamYard. It's what I used to use before, where you can enter your stream key.
No dancing on TikTok Live, but I do have another idea for a mashup video of mocking Bateman for next week in a TikTok. So stay tuned for that.
You know, someone at work said, "Why would you put yourself, on TikTok and you falling on your butt?" I'm like, "Why not? Why wouldn't you want to show things that happen to the normal guy? I mean, that's funny. Yeah, sounded like
you could argue
dying
that
cow, but
a decent chunk of Bill Dance's fame is because of his bloopers.
Bill Dance is my hero. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like some people know about Bill Dance because of catching him and that kind of stuff, but there's definitely a segment of the population who knows who Bill Dance is because of his blooper compilations. Hitting his leg on the trailer hook and falling, over the seats and starting the motor and the motor falling out. You know what I mean? Like
swinging the battery from the boat dock and the boat just happened to move out of the way. Yeah. So that's real fishing to me. I want to document the lows and the highs, and of course I don't want to put videos out and I not catch anything. But I had what I thought was going to be an awesome day on Kentucky Lake, and it sucked. Caught some mega drum though.
We don't doubt some of them are, but I don't think all of them were. But Bassmaster, you should get an email with your $50 credit, assuming you are a new pro member. If you're an existing pro member, that will not work. You have to be a new pro member, and you have to do it in a browser. You cannot do it through the app. You can do it on your phone, but it's got to be through like Chrome or Safari. But you cannot do it through the app. So if you're already a pro member, it won't work. So if you're a new member, you'll get an email. If you don't, just send a note to help@Omnia Fishing if you don't get it. I know it's worked for several people. So
you got to get on Whatnot.
Yeah, I got like 20 minutes, or I think I set it for like 8:30 something. So we still got like 10, 15 minutes.
I've been up for 17 hours now, so I'm not reading the time correctly.
Yeah, so I don't know if you already had a pro membership. I don't know if it expired. I don't know if it'll work if it's only first time. You might want to send them a note before you do it if you're uncertain about it. I don't know about if you've had it, let it expired, and then get it again. I'm not sure the rules on that.
Check out this flow right here. What is this? This is like
you just tip them upside down and mop the floor, and
it throws out like a mushroom head.
So he can't hear me though, right?
No, he got it permed, and it's just grown out.
What's Bateman's PB of the year, Bass, or Bateman Jr.'s PB of the year?
He had him about a 3.5 pound smallmouth when we went fishing. It come off right at the boat. I said, "Don't freak out. It's gonna be all right. Just ease it up there." And he's doing so good, and he got right next to the boat. You know how they'll just, there's a bass boat. I might as well go down as fast as I can. Did that, and a little Kitech popped out on him. But he did good. He caught the first fish. We went out there, and he's out there throwing his little swimmer, and I got one. I'm thinking, really? Because he ain't throwing at nothing. He caught him one. And watched Dad whack a couple big ones on top water, and he got fired up. He was throwing that swimmer out there.
Reverse mullet.
A reverse mullet. That's something. Honestly, it looks like something you find on the side of the road.
Watch out, girls.
Yeah.
Ladies
Junior likes the boat. He's kind of getting into the fishing deal now. He ain't got to worry about buying no baits. That's one thing. TikTok here. He does be doing some TikToks.
What else do we
I'm trying to think of anything we missed. Oh, Hummingbird's new Mega Live 2.
Yeah, the new Explorer. Well, they come out with Humminbird Live 2, which I mean, their digital images they put on screen, the stuff they show you always looks great. So
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see if because all the best units so far, like Garmin and Active Target, have a black box and they have an additional power source. And Humminbird has done it without that. And I think that's, in my thought, not being an electronics guru, was always thought that was the limitation. So it'll be interesting to see if they can actually generate enough power and all that stuff without having the black box to compete. I guess we'll find out.
Black
When
box
people
is
actually get it out
basically
that
your
aren't sponsored, get it on the water and try it, we won't really know.
it's basically your processor. Like it's taking on that data and putting it, throwing it to your display. Well, my buddy, I'm gonna give you a plug if you're in the Kentucky Lake, Northwest Tennessee area. My buddy Brandon Hunter Fishing, he's been on my YouTube channel. He started a new company, Sonar Solutions. They rig bass boats.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. He knows electronics in and out. And I'm going to get with him and we're going to do some testing on some of these, the Garmin. And of course, I've got Active Target, try out the new Mega Live 2 and other stuff. But if you need a boat rig, you got electronics questions, not sponsored, but he's my friend and I'm going to help a friend with the business. Go check out Sonar Solutions. Give him a follow on Instagram.
In the LBL area, or
he's right here in Draftonville, the Benton area. So
nice.
Right on Kentucky Lake North End. So
is yours an Active Target 1 or 2 on your boat?
I have Active Target 1, and so I've used Active Target 2 a lot with Mark because he's a Lowrance sponsored pro, or is I can't remember now, but and I knew what I was doing, but I'll be honest, I like the Active Target 1 better. I can find my bait out there at 80, 90 feet. I see a lot of guys saying they can't see that far. Well, if you make a good cast and you're dialed in, I can see it good. I don't have the fish definition that a Garmin has, where like you can really pick out the bigger and the smaller ones. But I see them when those fish are tight to the bottom. I feel like there's better bottom separation from the fish in the bottom on Active Target 1. I'm getting to where I can start to pick out that's a bass, that's crappie, that's a bluegill. A lot of it's how they react to your bait. Again, I've had my boat, got it middle September, been out 10, 12 times. I haven't been doing a lot of scoping because, man, they got on such a good topwater bite there for a while. I was just laying that big Magnum catwalk out there and getting some big blowups. But going to have to really learn. Honestly, the big ones are biting on Kentucky. Like I need to get out there like Darius and just tough it out. But anyone that says they've mastered forward-facing sonar in 5 months is full of shit.
I mean, maybe if you don't have a job and you can fish every day for 5 months, but like fishing every second weekend for 5 months, you ain't mastering shit.
No, you're not. I'm having fun with it. I mean, but like I said, I'm out there. I got it on my boat and toss out the walking bait, and a 5-pound smallie blows up. You know what I'm doing the rest of the day? I ain't looking at the screen. I'm running bars and points and shallow pockets, and I'm trying to catch them on top water.
Yeah, and here's the secret. Like, if that makes you happy, that's all that matters.
Exactly. Fishing is about fun.
Yeah, and doing it in a way that you enjoy it. But you shouldn't get mad because somebody else enjoys it differently than you do.
100%. And that's what's, we're going down a rabbit hole, but I get on these swim bait groups, and if you're not buying this bait, or if you got to use these baits, dude, who cares? As long as you're having fun. I don't care if you throw $500 baits or $5 baits. Man, I'm getting all kinds of love tonight.
All right. So early returns is that it may not be as good as the Garmin 34, but at least it's in the ballpark.
I think the biggest issue, what I've been hearing from pros between Active Target, Mega Live, and LVS 34 is being able to see a fish out there 100, 120 feet. And you're thinking, wow, would you want to be out there? Well, fish are starting to get conditioned to forward facing. Some guys just don't know how to be stealthy, so they'd rather see one way out there and make multiple casts too. I feel like the sweet spot on my Active Target 1, like I'm shooting out to 80 feet. I like to be able to present my bait at them at 60 feet.
Yeah,
I mean, see them at 60 and put it on their head.
And Jacob Wheeler, not sponsored by anybody, buys the, I'm sure he gets deals on all of them, but like he's running an active target too by choice. So I do think, so I watched a little bit of the information, and I think the fact that these new Explorer units come with mapping, and I use Hummingbirds, but I have no affiliation with Hummingbird, just to be clear. Like I get my graphs through chattyboys.com. I don't get them through Hummingbird. So I like the simplicity of their interface and a few other things about Hummingbird. I'm comfortable with them, but like their waypoint management sucked, and it seems like they may have solved that. Like they may actually be like up towards the top of the heap now, up there with Lowrance on waypoint management. So I think that's key. They're going to come loaded with both ocean charts and LakeMaster like level quality maps that I think you're going to be able to update through like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. And basically they're packing in more features, and they're going to sell them for about the same price as the Helixes were. So I think seems like a pretty decent deal.
I'm thinking if Uncle Sam treats me right at tax time, I'm going to get me a BBT dual mount, and I'm going to put a Hummingbird for the mapping and stuff. I like my Lowrance. I like being able to do the shading, and I know my way around it pretty well. It's getting better every day. It's going from a Hex 17 on my old Skeeter to a HDS Live 12 is wild. I mean, there's so many different functions, but I like the shading, and the C maps are really cool. But I like to have a Hummingbird just to have extra mapping. There's pros and cons to all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I run 2 birds at the dash, 2 10s, then I got a 12 up front to run mapping and 360, and then I got a dedicated Garmin. So, but
you got to sell some baits, Rich.
Yeah, we're about ready to go live here in a few minutes. We'll take a quick little break, and I'll be back on Whatnot in like 5 minutes. So appreciate all the new viewers. There was clearly we hit definitely some. I might have dabbled with these numbers with Gary online, Gary Dobbins, but like it's been a long time since we were hitting multiple hundreds live. So welcome to everybody new that watched, whether you're watching on Baitman's or my channel. Subscribe to the channels if you guys want to see more like just legit bass fishing content without like tons of drama and all that stuff. We get into, we talk news, but we try to play it pretty like give it an honest perspective. Talk about techniques. We have guests on. We talk about baits, all that stuff. So if you came in late, check out the replays. Drop the link, Hella. Oh yeah, I could do that. Let me.
And if you guys want to see me and HellaBass do a monthly collab recap, we'll make sure we get it done.
Yeah,
I mean, I work midnight now, but it's the overtime. I think all these contractors in the country decided they didn't want to order our product. Maybe it has to do with who's in office. I have no idea.
Right on. Well, time for you to say hi to the kids and catch up on your sleep and have a good weekend back.
We got to get that puppy. Hey, Rich, thank you for inviting me tonight. I appreciate it. You're my YouTube bestie. Just so you know.
I keep you on your toes.
All right, guys, I'm getting off here. You guys have a great night, and if I don't see you for a while, go Vols.
All right. See everybody on the Whatnot in just a few minutes. And as always, here to help you guys catch more big bass and suck less. See some of you in a few minutes.